latest ITV news in the Tyne region with Amy Lee and Ian Payne.
Hello there and good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up on tonight's programme.
You're in a position of trusted authority. Do you have anything to say?
The former head teacher from North Tyneside avoids jail after being sentenced for downloading and distributing indecent images of children.
The hidden homeless. How nearly 50,000 people in the North East with no reliable roof over their heads could be falling through the gaps.
Weather warnings as strong winds and heavy rain batter the region. We look at the impact of Storm Chandra.
And defying the odds, a North Yorkshire woman told she might never walk again conquers 199 steps on the anniversary of the most devastating day of her life. First tonight, a former head teacher has avoided jail for downloading and distributing indecent images of children whilst in charge of a school in Washington.
54-year-old Dean Jurek, who led St Robert of Newminster School at the time of his arrest, was handed an 8-month suspended sentence today after pleading guilty to the crime last year. The school has strongly condemned his actions. Our reporter Amy Sutton was in court for us today. Amy.
Yes, Dean Jurek bowed his head in court today as the prosecution laid out details of this case, some of it far too graphic for us to share with you on television. Jurek was arrested in January of last year when the police seized 2 iPhones at his property. One was found to contain 380 images and videos classified as indecent. Now, 54 of those were in Category A, the most severe. It is important for us to say that no images related to anyone at the school he taught at. Jurek was caught after he engaged in conversation with an undercover officer who was posing online as a paedophile. The discussions included Jurek saying he loved young girls and that 14 was the perfect age. Now, in a previous hearing, Jurek admitted 3 counts of downloading indecent images of children and 1 count of distributing indecent images of children. But today, in court, Judge Robinson told Jurek, "You've fallen a long way from grace and that your career has been thrown away." And as he left court today, he didn't have much to say to our cameras. Are you ashamed, Mr. Jurek? Do you have anything to say? Anything to say regarding your sentence? You're in a position of trusted authority. Do you have anything to say? Do you think you've got off lightly? Now, Dean Jurek was head teacher at St Robert of Newminster School in Washington at the time these messages were sent. Jurek was, we're told, immediately suspended from his position at the school following his arrest. And now Bishop Wilkinson Catholic Education Trust, which oversees the school, sent us a statement today which read, "We unequivocally condemn the actions of Dean Jurek. We are satisfied that every aspect of due process has been rigorously upheld, culminating in today's sentencing." It continued, "His arrest was a profound shock and a betrayal of the trust placed in him by our entire community. He is no longer has any association with our trust." Now, that trust says it has referred this matter to the appropriate bodies, and Jurek will never step foot back in a classroom as he begins an 8-month sentence, suspended for 18 months, and will be on the sex offenders register for 10 years.
Amy Sutton reporting. Amy, thank you. The government has told ITV News that it is committed to trying to eradicate the growing issue of hidden homelessness in our region.
These can often be people discounted from official data, perhaps spending their nights sofa surfing or sleeping in cars. However, they actually make up the majority of those who are experiencing homelessness. Nick Smith reports.
When people think of those with no place to call home, often rough sleepers out on the streets in our town and city centres may be at the forefront of our minds. But they're just the visible tip of the iceberg. Many more are hidden away from the public eye, desperately finding any kind of shelter from the elements, the hidden homeless. Something AJ tells me he experienced for more than a decade. Within a few years, he'd gone from being a young graduate and restaurant manager in Newcastle to finding himself homeless after battling mental health and addiction issues.
I reached a point where whatever money I did have was non-existent. I was still able to stay at some friend's house who had let me in, but even that was getting overbearing. I did end up in a shelter. I never really thought of it as homeless at the time because I had a roof over my head, but it's the uncertainty of where you're going to go next or where you're going to be next. There was a lack of stability which affected my thought process. I would just try to escape reality and numb the pain.
Local authority data has identified homelessness hotspots in the northeast, with South Tyneside experiencing the highest rate, 1 in 600 people, and Newcastle and Gateshead second, with 1 in 800. But the charity Crisis claims many hidden homeless aren't recorded in this data. Their recent study indicates across the north of England as a whole, 47,000 households have no reliable roof over their heads.
Hidden homelessness is going up fast, and that's because simply there aren't the homes needed for people to live in, but also rental prices have gone up so much at the time when there's a cost of living squeeze. The most common factor around hidden homelessness is the transience of it, having to find somewhere tonight, the next night. So I was speaking to a family recently. It's a mum with 2 kids, and they've got nowhere to go, and they're sleeping in their car. Hopefully the night after, a friend will put them up on their floor. The night after that, they don't know. So the common factor here is just complete instability, uncertainty and stress.
I see it as something that can affect anyone. I mean, you could be of your highest standard of life and it'll take 1 or 2 things to go wrong and then you've got a marriage breakdown, an addiction of some sort. You can blow a whole lot of money on something and before you know it, you're left with nothing.
AJ found a pathway with Crisis to stable accommodation and now volunteers to help others experiencing homelessness, a number which is still rising as we continue to experience a nationwide housing crisis. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Well, we're staying with this topic because Nick has also spoken with the current Homelessness Minister, Alison McGovern, who says she's deeply concerned by the rising issues of hidden homelessness.
Firstly, with regards to hidden homelessness, is it actually quite difficult for the government to quantify the scale of it just by the nature of the fact that it is quite hidden and often these people don't present themselves to local authorities?
It is. I'm really worried that whilst people might be able to see people seeing those rough sleeping on their streets, what they can't see is someone sofa surfing. What they can't see is somebody going from family member to family member, not able to get a tenancy, not able to put a roof over their head. And I'm grateful to the academics and to Crisis for doing this work and showing that actually homelessness is a more complicated problem, and that's why we need our strategy, our national plan to end homelessness, to deal with what we can't see as well as what we can.
You touched on that study there, and Crisis are estimating there are over 200,000 people who could be hidden homeless in this country, roughly up by a third from 2020. So what are you outlining in that strategy to really get on top of that problem?
So our strategy has 3 new goals at the heart of it. To increase prevention, so for those people who do go to their council and say that they're at risk of homelessness, increasing the rate at which we're able to prevent people actually becoming homeless. We want to get our kids out of B&Bs, because another problem that people can't see is the children who are stuck in unsuitable B&B accommodation when they should be in better homes, and then to halve the level of long-term rough sleeping, because we know for some people who end up sleeping rough, it's a problem that is never resolved because of things like mental health conditions, addictions and so on. And that's why I want to work with local authorities up and down the country to make sure that they can invest in the kind of services that will help support people, and that's why we put £3.5 billion behind the plan over the next few years.
The Minister there with our reporter Nick Smith. Now today is Holocaust Memorial Day. It's a day, of course, when we remember the millions of people who died under Nazi persecution.
School children from across Newcastle have been taking part in a project learning about genocide through the stories of those who survived.
It culminated this week with an event at Newcastle Civic Centre organised by a survivor of the Bosnian genocide. Julia Barthram reports.
What is peace? If I asked, what is is violence? I'm sure all of you will be able to give me several answers, but what is peace?
This event to mark Holocaust Memorial Day was a moment of reflection, a chance to mark and remember the millions of victims of genocide. And it was the culmination of a project taking place in schools around Newcastle, led by survivors of genocide.
Bosnia was a modern, normal European country, and we never thought anything like that could have happened there. And that's the message that we're trying to pass on to these kids, not to be complacent, not to think that what happened during the Holocaust can't happen here, because 50 years on, after we said never again, it did happen again. And for me, the message has to be, it can happen anywhere, and we have to accept that it can happen here, and that's the only way that we safeguard what we have in this beautiful city and this amazing country, and that's why we do this work.
Genocides in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia and Darfur have all happened since the Holocaust during the Second World War. Children in 9 schools around the city have learnt about these events through personal stories.
It's been so amazing to be a part of it because I've learned so much.
It turns history lessons into real life stories. It comes embedded in your heart, really.
It's really important to see what other people went through as well, to give us the freedom that we now have.
I think people do need to learn about it, because if we don't learn about it, there's a chance that it could happen again.
It's something that we should learn from as a human race and move forwards and try and learn to love and not to hate.
Those who've been marking this day since before these children were born say now these lessons are more important than ever.
People were asked this question a few years ago. Do you think the Holocaust could ever happen again? And their reply was, no, it's never going to happen again. Asked the same question now, they are responding with, we think it's already started, or it's possible. And that is a very sad indictment on modern society.
This isn't just about the past, this is about stopping anything like this ever happening again. Now more than ever, we need to stand together. Newcastle's a really diverse city. That's one of our strengths. That's one of the things that makes us so great. And I'm absolutely delighted that we're going to host an event like this at the Civic Centre.
300 children here and many more in their schools now carry these lessons forward.
As we move forward, we carry the responsibility of being the new witnesses to these stories, ensuring the phrase, never again, is backed by action.
Julia Barthram, ITV News, Newcastle.
An important event with a very strong message today. Well, next, we've reported recently on some of our pubs, hotels, shops issuing warnings over their futures, largely because of rising business rates.
Yeah, today the government have announced support, which they claim will save the average pub £1,600 next year. But other businesses aren't getting more help. Our political correspondent Tom Sheldrick is live for us tonight at Westminster. And Tom, just take us through this if you can.
Business rates are the taxes charged on most commercial properties. Changes to how they're calculated were announced at the budget last November, but many businesses warn that would see their bills soaring. The government made clear a couple of weeks ago they would offer more support. Now they've set out the details. Pubs will get a 15% discount on their business rates in April, and then their bills will be frozen for 2 years. Live music venues will be included in that support, or there will be a review of how hotels are valued for business rates. But no extra support for hotels or other sectors was announced today. We got reaction from NE1, which represents businesses in Newcastle.
There are large sectors of our economy that have not been addressed. For example, hotels on average in Newcastle are seeing the rates bills rise by over 100%. So they're going to be missing out on this package of support, which is unfortunate. That they're focused in on pubs, again, is welcome, but more needs to be done.
Ministers argue pubs face particular pressures and insist that the businesses facing tax rises will feel them gradually. The Conservatives' response to the announcement today was, is that it? While the Labour MPs for Hartlepool and York City Centre also called for wider support. More than 1,000 pubs around the country said they were banning Labour MPs from their premises because of this. We'll have to see if that's now reversed.
OK, Tom at Westminster, thank you very much for taking us through that. And staying with financial matters, and Martin Lewis will be here later tonight on ITV1 with his tips on how to save money. Here's a look at what's to come.
Tonight at 7:15, a must-watch if you pay for car and home insurances. I've got an important warning. While you might get your renewal, and it's the same price as last year, and you're going to go, hey, actually, it's a no. Your price should be getting cheaper, and if it's not, you're potentially being ripped off. There are more tips, trick, and counter-logical savings in car and home insurance than any other area, and I'm going to run you through them so you're tooled up to get the maximum cover for the minimum price.
Next tonight, work's underway on a multi-million-pound revamp of Berwick Barracks. The historic army base was built in the 18th century and was in use for more than 200 years.
It's now being transformed into what they are calling a living barracks, refreshing the existing museum to give the old barracks a new lease of life. Johnny Blair reports.
Inspecting and assessing as work begins on a transformation. Berwick Barracks is steeped in history and about to begin a new chapter. It was made up of 3 museums dating back to the 1980s. They are becoming one and upgrading.
The 3 museums will still have their identities and will be on individual floors of the East Block, but there'll be a single unified sort of story woven throughout the museums so that people can come and enjoy all 3 museums in one.
So we're standing in one of the original barracks rooms, and in the previous museum this was one of the exhibition rooms. This will be part of the brand new museum, which will be telling the story of Berwick.
There'll also be an archive search room and atrium as the site, the town and its history is celebrated in a new way. Cigarette packets thought to be from the 50s have been uncovered, and there could be more secrets. During the last major renovation in the 1980s, a section of ceiling was found where soldiers from the 1700s had burnt their names into the wood.
Berwick has always been a really important town. It is on the border, it is on that main road between Edinburgh and London. It's been 300 years of soldiers living here, of families being born here, of it being really integrated as part of the town.
It's such a unique place, Berwick. It's changed borders 13 times. And of course for the King's Own Scottish Borderers, this is their home, it's their regimental base. So it's going to be providing a really valuable resource for local people, but also hopefully will really help to put Berwick on the map and be somewhere that visitors will want to come and enjoy as well.
The on-site cinema will remain open, as will parts of the museum for different events. But behind the scenes work continues until the planned grand opening in late 2027. Johnny Blair, ITV News, Berwick.
And Simon has joined us to take a look at the sport now, but we're going to start by actually talking about the weather, Simon.
Yeah, Newcastle United's flight to Paris was delayed by a couple of hours today because of the severe weather conditions, but they have made it to France safe and sound. Tomorrow night, of course, they face the reigning European champions Paris Saint-Germain in the last game of the first phase of the Champions League. Eddie Howe gave his pre-match press conference in the last couple of hours. He confirmed Joe Linton is injured and misses out. Captain Bruno Guimaraes will have a fitness test, and it is a huge game.
We want to try and win the game. We want to try and progress without the extra games, as you say. All those things are rewards for us. But just looking at it solely as a football match, we're pitting ourselves against the very best. What a great opportunity for us to show everybody and ourselves that we can play in any environment, home or away, and we can be effective.
PSG versus NUFC, one of 18 Champions League games tomorrow night, Simon, and results in some of those others are very important.
Yeah, it's going to be chaotic. Let's take a look at the league table. As Eddie Howe hinted at there, the job is to try and finish in the top 8. Of course, that's hard for Newcastle because they are playing the reigning European champions. There's so many teams involved. It is going to get chaotic, but Newcastle played so well when they went there a couple of years ago, so you never know.
Well, let's move on to some big transfer news. Big departure, Simon, at Sunderland today. It's a bit of a bittersweet one, really, this, isn't it, for the Black Cats?
Yeah, Dan Neil, who was Sunderland's homegrown promotion-winning captain, has joined Ipswich Town on loan till the end of the season. but he is effectively gone for good because his contract's up in the summer. Now, Dan's a Sunderland fan. He spent 18 years at his boyhood club, made more than 200 appearances, and he picked up the playoff final trophy at Wembley last year. So he got to live his dream, as Sunderland were keen to recognise, because they released a tribute video for him today, which shows what he meant to the club and shows there is a room for a bit of sentiment in football. But not a lot, because the other side of the coin is that Dan Neil was very unsentimentally replaced in the summer. Sunderland did their massive Premier League expensive upgrade. The brilliant Granit Xhaka came in to effectively play in Dan Neil's position, and no one can argue with the results. Look, sometimes players outgrow clubs, and sometimes clubs outgrow players. Dan Neil's contract situation made things a little awkward, but this does seem to have been handled with dignity and respect, which feels about right. Middlesbrough are going for promotion in the Championship, and they've brought in a promotion specialist. Jeremy Sarmiento arrives on loan from Brighton, with the deal set to become permanent in the summer. The 23-year-old winger plays international football for Ecuador, and he's a Championship cheat code. He was on loan at Ipswich when they got promoted in 2024, and he was at Burnley when they got promoted in 2025.
Back-to-back is an amazing feeling for me. I have the chance to do it again with Middlesbrough, and my head's on that, and I will try to do my best to help this team reach the objective, the ambition from everyone and the coach to get to where we want to get to. It's what it's attracted me.
Yeah, that's a big new signing. Simon, thank you very much indeed.
Now, last week we told you about Lucy Maguire from North Yorkshire, who lost a leg and almost died in an accident 5 years ago today.
Yeah, Lucy has made a remarkable recovery, and today she set out to climb the famous 199 steps up to Whitby Abbey. Yes, in this weather. Katie Oscroft was there.
On a wild and wet day in Whitby, Lucy Maguire was determined to complete the challenge she'd set herself.
Be able to do something like this after everything, and you know, like being told I'd never sit up again, and to do this, it's just such a, I mean, it's surreal, really. I never thought I'd get to this point. Right.
Lucy had her right leg amputated, and few people expected her to survive a horrific accident when she was hit by a 10-ton tractor. She spent almost a year and a half in hospital. You were first on the scene of the accident that Lucy had. That must have been awful for you too.
It was the fourth one in 2.5 weeks that I'd been to. As you can tell, I'm a bit emotional. They'd all been under the age of 25, so it was really hard for me. I actually had a breakdown just after Lucy's. I really struggled. We didn't think she was going to make it. And for her to be here today doing this is amazing.
The wind just took me back away.
She's an inspiration. I've never known anybody like her. A few years ago I thought we'd have been burying her, never mind doing anything like this. She's incredible.
When we saw the weather forecast, we knew it was going to be like this, and it was whether she wanted to still do it. The truth that she's decided that it's got to be today, the anniversary.
Mum, I am okay. I'm just having to sit down.
Lucy battled on. Her supreme efforts have so far raised £4,500 for a charity which supports people with life-changing injuries like hers. And her efforts have surprised even her physiotherapist.
She has done an amazing job of the couple of practices that we've done and getting prepared for this. The first time we came, it was definitely a bit of a question mark because we had just done some indoor staircases prior to this, but we've practiced both the bottom section and the top section. So I'm not going to say it's easy, certainly, but you see how fast she's going, like she's smashing it.
Go on, 2 more!
And smash it she did. After less than an hour, with Whitby over her shoulder, Lucy had the 199th step in sight.
That's amazing. That is determination right there. Lucy, fantastic.
Really
that
special.
What a day.
What a day today. It makes it all the more impressive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
adding to those dramatic scenes we've been seeing across the region today. Scenes like this Storm Chandra brought a bit of everything, actually. We're very used to scenes like this over the last week or so. Huge waves on the coast. This was Rourke this afternoon, continue with those southeasterly winds. Very little respite for our peers, but the strong winds made it inland today. This is Houghton Spring after a tree was felled there by the gusts. We saw quite a few trees coming down. Gusts around 60 miles an hour, the more unusual wind direction and our recent unsettled weather all sort of combining, meaning maybe a bit more damage than it maybe would have caused. There was also a lot of rain. We're back at Whitby here where Lucy was. The drains were overflowing trying to deal with the downpours. Over 25 millimetres, around an inch of rain in places. And that, of course, then had to work its way out. And in the mix as well, I told you it brought a bit of everything. Over the high ground, that rain was turning to snow. Here's Weardale this afternoon. Good few centimetres of snow over those higher routes, and we are expecting more wintry weather as we head into tomorrow, but it's not going to be snow. It's going to be a bit of frost and ice. I think we can cope with that after today, because the good news is, although it's a bit cold to start the day, it is looking
There's
a lot
no good news
calmer.
there, Ross. There's no
It's
good
calmer,
news there.
it's calmer, is the forecast.
A breezy morning will be followed up with a flurry of fresh delights for lunch. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Although we are still feeling the effects of the storm, things are starting to calm down as we head through this evening and overnight. Into the early hours, we're looking at lighter winds and also colder conditions, risk of ice and some fog as we head into tomorrow morning, with things being far more settled. But through the day, we are seeing brighter breaks, even sunny spells developing. There's the storm at the moment, Storm Chandra, starting to move its way towards the west and starting to peter out as well. The rain's moving its way up towards the north, leading to those calmer conditions into tomorrow. But again, low pressure systems are loitering nearby. Further spells of rain on the way, certainly as we head towards the end of the week. For now, we've got the heavy rain, still some hill snow around. That's clearing its way up towards the northeast. Behind that, the showers disappear with it, and the cloud starts to move through too. We see the clearer skies, the lighter winds, the blues here showing a patchy frost into tomorrow morning. Certainly in shelter spots, temperatures dipping below freezing, and quite a bit of fog developing as well, still lingering, of course, as we head into tomorrow morning. Very different feel to things then. Quite a murky start for many. There's a definite chill in the air. The fog, the mist is starting to lift as we head into the afternoon. We get those brighter breaks, lighter breezes too, so feeling far more pleasant than we've seen today. Temperatures getting up to around 6 or 7 degrees. Later Wednesday and into Thursday, again we'll see a bit of a frost developing underneath any clearer skies. The fog is readily forming, and where the cloud is thick enough moving in from the North Sea, a scattering of showers coming and going as we head into Thursday morning. But we will see some brighter breaks developing. Again, the low pressure's nearby, there is further rain on the way. So through the next few days, although cloud is set to dominate for the most part, we will get some brighter breaks towards the end of the week, a bit more in the way of rain as temperatures tumble.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne weather.
Thank you, Ross. In just a moment, the national and the international news.
I'll be here with the update for you at 10:30, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for your company. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.